Good morning. I think we are kind of ready to start. So good morning and welcome. On behalf of the board of ABSL Hungary, let me thank you to take the time this morning to join our business breakfast on this beautiful rainy day that we have. Today's focus topic is digital transformation in the business service sector, which was actually also the focus topic of the business outlook survey. So you will see throughout the discussion some of the outcomes, some of the results of that survey. But before I turn it over to Zoltán, who will lead and moderate the panel discussion, I'd like to first thank Frank Holder, our sponsor, to sponsor us and to host us today. We wouldn't be here clearly without the support. And also, if I may, we just introduced the feedback form. I would really personally appreciate if you could fill in. It's clearly about your experience today, what you think about business breakfast, and we also would like to get your feedback on topics that you may want to be covered. And with that, let me turn it over to Zoltán.
Hello, everybody. My name is Zoltán Tanács. I'm working for IFO Horvat, which is a management consulting company, and I'm heading the digital transformation practice there regionally. I have about 2 decades of experience in this topic, and I'm very happy to be the moderator of today's discussion. That is because IFO Horvat did this research together with ABSL. So digital transformation is a very important topic of us, and I hope that this 2 hours of conversation will be very interesting for you. We will go through the research slides as well, but I have collected some other questions we have discussed 2 days ago with the group, and I think it could be a really interesting discussion, and it will be surely more interesting if you add your questions and you ask your questions, and our guests and me will try to answer you. So I continue by sitting, and let me start with a very simple question. The term digital transformation is widely used, and IFO Horvat did a survey in the summer where we asked about 200 or 300 top CXOs all over Europe what is their most important topic for the upcoming 3 years, and the answer was digital transformation, and that was the answer 3 years in a row. We didn't ask, what do you mean by digital transformation? So let me ask you first, what do you mean about this term? What is the essence of transformation for you?
It is certainly not a transactional inaction. It is a transformation action. It varies from companies to companies. If a company is running with a lot of applications which are not talking to each other, and if you decide to replace them with a new age ERP, then for them it is a digital transformation because they are totally disconnected and they wanted to connect to their processes. If a company is already in a ERP platform and they have a very, very set process, it goes from left to right with a very set timeline and action, but they wanted to do something more to increase customers' experience, and thereby targeting to bring in more customers, then they go for the next stage of digital transformation. So it varies from companies to companies, the phase in which they operate right now. But certainly it is not a transactional action. It is aimed for a total transformation from where they are. That's my view.
Okay. Well, now, what do you think, Gary?
Just one thing is we may want to take the opportunity to introduce ourselves. So if you
okay. My name is Kumar Shanmugam. I head BPS operations in Tata Consultancy Services. In a way, we are the biggest consumers of any transformation that are implemented by our customers. In fact, we have a team, IT team, which is 1/3 of the total workforce in our Tata consultancy in Hungary. They are the biggest creators of transformation tools and techniques. So we are representing both sides. So we could contribute more from our side as well as multiple customers who are working with us. Nice meeting you all, by the way.
Barna, then please introduce yourself with a few words, and now let's hear your statement about digital transformation.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Barna. I'm responsible for the managed services business in Alice Technologies. And as a Google cloud technology firm, we are immersed in digital transformation continuously. So what I believe digital transformation is, every company has their own set of processes. And when they start to channel them into their digital channels like website, be it an application, be it an ERP system, those processes, those procedures has to be transformed in a way that they fit into those digital channels. So when this transformation is done, that's what I believe we should call digital transformation. And that's not like you just replicate what you are doing currently in your real life, your real business into the digital channel. So it's not a replica or replicating what you do, but it's like re-engineering the whole procedure, considering the behavior of the user, exploring the whole user journey around those procedures. So in a nutshell, that is what
Okay,
good morning once again. My name is Károly Kudai. I'm heading the Solution Center of City in Hungary. I also am the global engineering lead within City for our remote offices and external connectivity. So I'm in technology networking. In terms of digital transformation, I would take a more broader definition initially, and to me, frankly, what I think about is more the adoption of any form of digital technology to either improve efficiency or create some sort of value. So I would take a broader stance, although clearly transformation, I'll agree that it has to be more than just adapting something to something existing or slightly enhancing. But clearly in this context, I also appreciate that this is more about the overall process of either creating brand new processes or more heavily modifying existing ones to actually adapt to internal business and market demands.
Okay, thank you very much. I would add one aspect maybe to digital transformation. We have all talked about processes and customer experience. What we always like to add is a kind of change in business model. So where you have done nothing before, there is suddenly a new market or new area of business where you can enter. Think about the whole sharing economy, which is not possible without all those digital platforms and so on. So I think processes, people, customer interaction, and business models somehow, which is radically changed by digital tools. This is somewhat what we are looking for and trying to grab in one single term, which is digital transformation. Okay, thank you very much for this first round. And maybe some insights from this outlook, from this research that ABSL did together with Core Lab, the University of Pécs, and IFO Horváth. This survey was done in Q3 this year, and try to discover some aspects of this whole digital transformation. It is based on executive opinion and a survey, and of course the whole shared service center landscape is covered by it. And let me show you the first slide about the results, which is quite interesting. It examines how global or local this digital transformation initiative is. And 2/3 of the respondents said that there is a local unit for digital transformation. What do you think about it? Why is it important to have a local team or local competencies or staff for digital transformation, which is kind of a global thing?
Absolutely. From a shared services point of view, since we are located here, when we interact with our local customers, we understand their pain points much better than somebody sitting outside our boundary, because they may have some understanding based on what they hear and what they read, but sitting in Hungary, we see what they do. So the local units will have a better perspective on what is their real need, and accordingly they can propose what should be the right solution. I always say that understanding the problem is very important than attempting to solve them. So therefore, having a local unit is more important to trigger the digital transformation.
Okay. Caro, you are heading a global unit here in Hungary. What is your opinion about that?
So I personally, at least based on my experience, I don't think local versus global or matters. You can be successful either way. And then we have seen, example to both. One thing, and I wanted to add to it is, I think it's even more important to make sure that it's not the unit's responsibility to transform. It's everybody's responsibility who's taking part of the transformation. So there's always a danger of just having a unit and expecting something from that unit, but it has to have a culture shift. But clearly you need certain people with certain skill sets, and they may be in a unit.
Okay.
In my opinion, for digital transformation to be effective, local aspects has to be considered, and therefore should exist a local team responsible for representing and incorporating the local aspects into the whole digital transformation. For sure, you have experience also in your company. Maybe the global headquarters, they just wanted to roll out something, and it was digitally transformed, but you right from the beginning said this will not work here locally, either because of the legal environment, either because of the behavior of your staff, some other local aspects. So as Kari also mentioned, that the whole company has to be represented while the digital transformation is being done. In this view, either the local and the global aspects also has to be considered when the digital transformation is planned and then implemented.
Do you experience any kind of barriers or problems when trying to drive digital transformation globally from Hungary, maybe? Do you have experience for that, maybe?
Yes, for sure. Sabotage is always there in the system. So we are all working with people. We all have teams, so we know that there is always someone who knows better than the others. So one is the human aspect of it, for sure, but also in terms of mindset and also the availability of skills, availability of technology. Maybe how important the company considers the digital transformation project to be implemented. So how much budget they make available for that, and how many people they make available for that. Those are the usual barriers for such kind of project.
You mentioned skills, and the next slide is about skills. And the respondent said that actually the local managing teams, probably in Hungary, because the survey was done for this region, they have very good skills and actually adequate skills to manage this digital transformation. And by the end of the survey, there will be some barriers listed, and their competencies, lack of resources, is one of the main barriers, actually. how do you see this? Are there enough competencies and skills? And if there are, what kind of effort you have to put in there to have them?
Yeah, I think the skills here in the Hungarian local market, local regional market are available, and we have highly or properly skilled people. The most important barrier in this aspect would be how the support globally comes to one project or another. So if the project is properly supported from senior management or the CXO level, then it's more likely to be successful than other projects who are just done by being done. So that is my experience. And also what I believe that yeah, the quality is available in the market, but maybe not in the right quantity. So you have to invest a lot internally to create that digital transformation capability and mindset to your people.
Are there certain things that you look for when you're building your internal team? Are there certain attributes, characteristics that you're looking for in individuals that can build the competency and become successful in leading this type of initiative?
Yeah, first of all, you have to define a certain pyramid of seniors, mid-years, and juniors, and that you have to apply to any project for the
Sure.
particular digital transformation project also. So you have to contract, you have to allocate the right senior people who are capable of and who are ready to inherit that knowledge into the knowledge pyramid for the junior people also.
Are there parts of the organization that you tend to draw from? So are you looking at individuals from more of a technical background, a process design or engineering? Like, where are you looking in organizations to pull that talent?
Yeah, first of all, I think when there is a digital transformation project going in a company, it encompasses maybe the whole organization from left to right. So you have to make sure that all of these businesses are represented in the project. But when it comes to the skills itself, so we're building up maybe a new application, fitting those procedures into a certain digital channel, then you have to have more people from technical background, from consultancy background, from management background. So those are the most aspects. Of course, HR has to be represented, finance has to be represented. So all these people who are delegated to the projects, they should be like product owners. If we talk about the agile methodology, they should act as a product owner in this comprehensive team.
Kumar, you would like add something?
Yeah. The question is very interesting because, and it has to be asked at two levels. If I am a CXO, targeting for an increase in sales or a reduction in cost, I will try to trigger a digital transformation. For me, for a CXO, it is a combination of three teams. One, technical experts. Second, business consultants. Third, business strategy specialist. So the business strategy specialist will understand what is needed in the market and tell me, if you address these needs, your sales will go up. The business consultant will understand my business end to end and tell me, these are the bottlenecks that is stopping you to reach that particular need. And the technology team will help me to understand these are the levers available in the new technology briefcase. You can use them to address those needs. So the question at CXO level will be answered in this way. There will be the same question will be answered at individual three teams. To the business analyst, business domain specialist, you'll have to ask them, do you have right team to understand the problem? Okay. Similarly, at the business strategy team, you'll have to ask the question, do you have right team to understand the market needs? Same is the case with the technology team. So two levels of inspection has to be done before we initiate any digital transformation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions maybe so far? You mentioned different kind of skills that are needed for a successful digital transformation. How should we start such a transformation? If we have already like 20 years old processes, like 50 years old company with culture, with people in it, where starts typically such a digital transformation process?
See, any digital transformation nowadays runs for about year time, and it consumes a lot of money and effort. So before we investing such a large amount of money and time, we should really be clear on the partners. The partners could be external partners, or it could be your own internal team. So we should evaluate the strength and weakness of these teams before we step into such a transformation initiatives. So assessing our internal talent strength is very, very important. It is only when you have right partners in place and right team in place, you can, initiate such a transformation. Otherwise, there are many transformations that we have seen hurriedly initiated without assessing these strengths and weaknesses, tending to be failure at the end without meeting the end goal of where we need either to cut the cost or to increase the sales.
If I may add on to this, up till this point, practically we were implying that we are running big initiatives, in a fairly ideal scenario, which I would agree is the one working where you have all the stakeholders, skills, etc. But in many, you can run so many of these large initiatives at once, so in many cases, in my opinion, transformation happens organically, and culture is very important. So getting back to the point is yes, there will always be large programs focused on certain aspects of the business. In my opinion, you can't transform the company without everybody thinking that is their job and having this culture of continuous improvement.
In my opinion, digital transformation projects, they are started because there is something in the strategy which requires more enablement, more support to achieve those goals in the strategy. So in order to be able to conduct such kind of projects, the whole organization has to be ready to do so. And for that, this cultural aspects of being ready for digital transformation, for being ready for excellence, that has to be carried in the DNA of the company, and that requires a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of training. It's a different mindset that people should have in any level of the organization.
Actually, we had yesterday our own conference about data and digital with about 100 participants. And one of the main outcomes for me personally of this meeting was that digital transformation projects are planned and set up very carefully. All the different tools and methods and steps are designed. But I would say like in half of the cases, there is not enough emphasis on cultural change and change management aspects, and that's why that's kind of big barrier of making successful transformations. And all the different presenters have a similar experience as well. Okay, in this research we had a focus topic which is intelligent process automation, which is I think it's one of the tools that could help or support digital transformation, not the only one for sure. And the respondent said that about 2/3 of you have already some kind of solution in place. Why do you think this is so popular, this tool from the many of the tools?
It affects people directly.
In a positive or negative way.
For the CXO, it is positive. And see, I mean, I think for every revolution, I had seen the redundancy of jobs post introduction of the automation and I mean, high scale robotic. But it has also yielded high end for the guys who are ready to scale up, learn new things, and then get ready to deploy into next level of jobs. So I think job scarcity is something that is manageable and has been managed very well. It directly, I mean, these automations directly helps in two things. One, it cuts the cost, as I just highlighted. Predominantly, it helps the customer to get their product well ahead of time. So everybody will be happy. So therefore, it is very important. Making your customer feel happy is a one important goal of any CXOs.
If I may, I think there's always technology of the year or whatever. There is always technologies that way more focused than when we were briefly discussing hype, I think it's not hype around process automation in general, because that has decades of history. Yeah, it's, we can go back very long. But there are certain technologies which are the technology du jour, as they would call it, with the hype, and each have their own advantages and disadvantages. One of the things some technologies actually have, building upon a promise of speed by not having to redesign process, which I think is very dangerous, because that's the whole point, as we discussed at the beginning, is it's very difficult to do transformation without looking at, the whole aspect of the given process, the given value chain, etc. So then, my overall thought on this is there always emerging technologies, and some of them got more publicity,
Attention. I have quite similar opinion because there are a lot of ways to do process automation. We had solutions like an ERP system from 2 decades ago does automate a lot of processes, of course. And this kind of hype around robotic process automation software solutions like UiPath, this is like really a hype from the past few years. And it actually gives me also kind of false promise to fix combine two shitty software by automating the human interface between them. So in some places it's absolutely right to use such software, but in many cases I don't think this is an ideal solution. Maybe it's a temporary solution for something, but actually it's quite popular, as you can see. So.
And if I may add one thing is I think being my background is in technology. One thing is super important. Technology is a tool to address something, but it can't be the end goal, So where I'm getting is we have a tool set, and to your point, we have tool sets. We have a variety of tools, but the key things are what you mentioned is we need engagement across the various teams. We need to look at process. So that's just a tool to be used on this floor.
Yeah, the degree of implementation also matters. I mean, just because I bought a UiPath license and implemented one piece of work, doesn't mean that I have actually mined my, capabilities, right? So I was not surprised because every single company would have by now bought UiPath and then would have built at least one bot. But what they could have done is a lot more. People, I mean, the companies have to realize there are more under the mine.
Yes, it's not checked if I have one process automated in the controlling department, but it should be scaled up.
Yes,
probably. Okay. let us see what were the expectations and the objectives of such an automation. You have mentioned CXOs or CEOs are very happy to use such tools. You can clearly see why. What do you think about these 3 or 4 aspects in your experience? What are the real successful objectives to reach?
There is something called from our customers, the speed to market. These digital transformations that we have engaged with them has resulted in bringing their product quickly to the market than their traditional approaches. So surely for us, at least a majority of the digital transformation effort that we have seen is all about making their customer happy. Customer will be happy only when their sales goes up and they have a competitive advantage over their competition. That is my observation based on my.
What are the expectations as a result of a being in a role of a regional financial processing hub, and we have to hire people from the market, and we cannot hire that much people to be enough to process that much of accounts payable just to this kind of process automation. Now that to on resources. To do exist. So like on all right, and drivers for the digital transformation tools.
And I wouldn't disagree with what we saw at the value drivers actually, but there is one thing missing to me is creating things that we can't do today. So anything that is new, because it's more about how we do it more efficiently, how we do it better, quicker. But clearly, if it's real transformation, it can be in many cases, it is an enabler to do or provide something we could do.
So if I may add one aspect, I'm a little scared to see cost optimization appearing at the top for one reason. See, when you think of digital transformation aiming to bring in customer better experience, you have to consider them as an investment, right? There are many transformation initiatives and ideas that are very nicely, sprung up during the board discussions, but they are all shot down with the so-called cost-benefit analysis, right? So you can't. When it comes to digital transformation, I think the one thing that I would not look at is cost-benefit analysis, because there are certain aspects that you are going to bring in. They cannot be measured with the dollar value, right? The customer experience of applying, shopping on a e-commerce platform cannot be measured with a dollar value. It's a happiness that is seen at customers' face. Right?
I'm coming from a company which is famous for controlling. And really funny to hear that the cost-benefit analysis is not the foundation of something, but the shutdown of something. So, but you are right. So there are really things that are hard to measure or hard to quantify, and cost optimization is really tricky because this can be also one of the things that makes customer happy. If you are a big service center and your client wants to have faster but also cheaper processes, yes. So this is also a factor that yes. Makes your customers happy. So it's not an easy task for sure. But actually, your answer shows that the results so far are quite positive. Or the first experiences are quite positive. And let me show you the next one as well. You have mentioned these results don't show too much about how deep this automation went into these companies, but this slide actually tries at least to show that the current rate of automation is about 1/4 of the processes, whatever that means. And the next few years, it will go up and double. Maybe let me ask you at this point, you, the audience, what is your experience? What kind of processes have you already automated with such tools, maybe RPA solutions or workflow platforms or low-code solutions? And are your experiences meet these results as well? Anybody who has done some kind of automation already? I'm sure there are.
One usual question for me when I see numbers, that the current rate of automation, for example, how do you know? How do you measure that compared to what? Because what you do is what you know. What you don't do, what robots do or platforms do instead of you don't know how much that costs, especially when we are considering BPOs, SRCs, when knowledge retention is one of the key elements. Yeah. So first of all, for me, it's just numbers right now, but the intention that I need to double is the value of this slide.
I actually would agree. We had 2 days ago discussion around this, and clearly, there is no accepted method of measuring. They say, no, we have data, and there is all these questions you are raising about what about those that do we count them? How do we count? So this is obviously, I think to me. So I would personally fully agree with you. I think to me what it means is clearly this is in focus, and we want to do more, and significantly more.
This is maybe for the CFOs to see that they
you have to double your spending on it. Yes. Okay. Any other opinions or experiences?
If I was on the other side to answer your questions, then now
you can answer here as well. So.
Yeah. See, there are 3 areas that I see. I mean, let me take accounts payable process that Barnes had cited. And in fact, that can answer your question as well. Today, we get invoices from, let's say, 1,000 suppliers. Okay, each one will supply their invoice in their own traditional applications. We cannot insist the same format from all of them, right? So we have large teams sitting here receiving those 1,000 invoices and then uploading them into our SAP.
Your system, yes.
Yeah. So huge set of people are sitting and doing this work. And in fact, the crowd was lot more when those invoices were coming in the scanned copies. Now, at least it is coming in the electronic form. And to some extent, we have invested on digital transformation, automating those invoices to read into our system as much as possible. To me, we are still able to read only 40% of them automatically. I mean, if you look at the invoice, we could pick only 40% of the data points automatically into our system. Still 60% is yet to be manually fed in. And there are teams who are sitting and doing a validation of duplicate invoices coming in. Okay, same invoice which would have been paid already would have come, another form. So I see in next 5 years, there's 40% data automation to reach at least 60%, 60 to 70. Okay, and all these double double invoices will be totally automated, in my opinion. And the cyber security will be so advanced that all these phishing emails looking as if behaving like your genuine vendors waiting for your payment to do the transaction, all that will be auto controlled, is what I see as a next 5 years.
Very good news. I don't really dare to be such optimistic regarding cybersecurity, this last part. But actually the trend is kind of going to slow down, actually, how much you can automate, probably. So it's getting harder and harder to fix the last few percent of the false or unreadable stuff. But actually 40% is a great achievement. I assume how happy your CXO was.
Not to market it here, there are several platforms coming up in this space. We have our own platform called TAP with the OCR technologies. Of course, as I said, it is still a 40%.
Okay, let me just jump back because of that 40%. The fourth row says here that replacement of human resources is kind of main objective of such automations. How do you see that in the future with that 40% automation of this process? How many people lost their jobs, or none? Or maybe you need more people, I don't know.
See, we are into the service industry, and you will be surprised if you had seen our website. We have 600,000 people as of today, still counting. And we were 400,000 people, I think, 2 or 3 years back. So our shared services continue to grow. Of course, we keep giving back productivity savings to our customers in the range of close to 30 to 40% in the span of 4 to 5 years time. The redundancy does happen, but what is important is you having a proper organization change management which deploys continuous scaling up opportunities for them to learn newer technologies and then shift their jobs to advanced technologies. Like a person who is simply doing a data management activities has to shift his skill level to a data analyst because the data management is going to be automated and insulated. So you have to keep moving up the ladder, and how, as a company, how you are enabling them is more important.
You seem to agree.
Yeah, fully. Just taking an example, if I look at my own engineering team, besides many of the one of the big driver of many of the process automation we do is to enable us to do even more. So to free up time, engineering time on doing fairly business as usual, must do things that do not create necessarily that much. I mean, they create value, but it's very repetitive, etc. So we can focus more on accelerating some of the changes. Yeah. And then I fully agree. In some cases, it will be, there will be a reduction of force, and that might be the main focus. But there are many other cases. I agree. Continuous learning, why it's important. It will shift the content of the work. The example of my team. So it's not black and white, and we also see actually where groups do well. Actually, there might be even more investment in that group because they want more of that wealth, which we've seen as well.
Yeah, I think no one will be losing their jobs because of process automation, be it intelligent or whatsoever. I think it at this phase, it is easing the pain of lack of resources at the moment. Of course, the aspect of structural shifts is necessary. It will be there for sure. So people need to learn new skill sets, and people need to learn new complexities of jobs. And as Kumar rightly mentioned, it will be shifting to the right from less value addition to higher value addition tasks for human beings to be dealing with, because the lower end will be automated by tools.
Can I add one thing that which is more sector specific in my opinion? So typically you concentrate people in one location and processes in one location to optimize that. So in my opinion, there is a clear expectation stated or implied on solution or service centers to actually be at the forefront of transformation. Yeah? And with or without digital, of course you have to do with digital, but transformation. When I say being forefront, I mean, being ahead in your parent company or being ahead in the marketplace. Yeah. I think this is an important thing to realize, and that will determine the success of the given BSc. Because initially it was very cost driven, but now it will be, in my opinion, value will be transformation and your transformational capability.
And why do you think HSCs are the kind of top places for such initiatives?
Because why would you do so? Why do you concentrate people and process? Because you think it's more efficient to do, and you have that expectation that if you look at it, all your desperate processes, you can come up with a way better that is way more efficient. Yeah? And you need less resources, it will take less time, it will be able to provide, a standardized way to do things, which is, most probably easier to automate, etc. So the whole, not the whole, it's, but in general, many of the SSCs are a concentration of skills and processes. Yeah? And again, it's either implied or actually stated. They expect, your stakeholders expect you to optimize and continuously optimize, and that hence they are in a very big focus on doing that. There's a lot of concentration of processes in these centers.
And let's
just one question came into my mind, because cost, quality, speed is the generic three layers of performance processes. But what about the speed of change that is highly demanded by the current environment? So whenever you are implementing a technology, it is a huge investment in time and effort, and sometimes acting as an anchor as well. So when you are doing a digital transformation, how do you consider the capability of technologies for supporting you in change?
In my opinion, when you start to implement a digital transformation project, of course, there are obvious goals, as you have mentioned also. But one of the benefits, which is not considered very often, is the work culture that your organization will be gaining. So one project you complete, for the next project, it will be more effective because you have your lessons learned. So you start to be more effective in digital transformation or conducting digital transformation projects. So one very clear benefit for doing digital transformation project is the work culture that your organization will be gaining. So the next project will be shorter, will be more on target, will be more on budget, more quality. So this learning curve for your organization, and as we mentioned at the beginning, you have to carry this changing mindset every time, all the time, in the DNA of your organization. So I think that is an undisputed benefit that you will have conducting this kind of project.
If I can add to that, some of it is, especially when we look at the digital part of it, process, and we talked of it fairly similarly. is some of it is, new technologies have, but some of it is changing overall architecture and it's general architecture principles that you need to follow. And, let me give a probably bad, but an example of what I think of is you can design a system to be fairly closed, that it gives you data and it gives screens of it, or you can approach it that you provide it and many other tools, UI, etc., can consume that and they can contribute to it, etc. So how you approach the problem, I think, is the answer of how you can be quicker to market in order to change. But typically, what is the concern is if you focus on cost optimization only, you get what you measure. Yeah? So you may end up with the most efficient way to get in the given period of time that outcome, which later may cost much more to change. Yeah? So that's and we get back to the CFO aspect.
If I may understand your question a little in deep, I think you are more concerned about your transformation is ready, you are going to roll it out, but the people, how fast they are going to adapt.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
One aspect is on the speed of the project itself. So by
right.
the time it is implemented, the time passes, and whatever it comes back to the process changes and transformation as well. Those processes we operate today was good enough yesterday, but will not be good for tomorrow. If my project lasts a year, then I'm already in the past again. And if I implemented the technology, if I'm not measuring or I'm not considering that capability of change, how quick is it to change the technology later on, then I implemented a huge anchor in my organization and in my architecture.
I think it has actually at least two aspects, the organizational or human one and the technological one. I can adapt any kind of new technology if my organization stays behind and people are not flexible enough, cannot follow, then this technology will be there, not be used and outdated in a few years. And the company didn't really change. So we need to speed up and make the organization more agile and make it capable of doing flexible changes. Most companies are not that way.
And it comes back to one of your previous slides that the change management capabilities are good enough in the company.
Yes, definitely. But there is also a technology aspect, I think, because think about the financial sector, for example. Most banks operate on like 20 years old systems, and they are very, very struggling to change. There are huge projects lasting 2, 3, 5 years, many unsuccessful ones, to change those old legacy systems. And if they change something, I'm sure they will stuck to it for like 20 other years because they are dependent on really reliable technology. So I think there are different kinds of businesses. For sure, the shared service industries is on the top, not just because they are very flexible, very rapidly. And that's why, for example, new technologies like cloud is an adequate answer for that. Because cloud services are all following or even and I think there are different this whole digital topic. And it says that at least in Europe, already recognized that kind of transformation network organ that is possible for top-down driving this whole transformation. And they recognize more and more that without cultural change, it won't really go. So I would say half of the companies are already on their way, but the other half, not yet. Okay. And then there's a question.
Yeah, talking about the added value of having digital transformation. So what would be more efficient in the business service center to have a local team versus give such a project of digital transformation to a third party or an external company specialized in such projects? We have already a skilled professionals instead of wasting or investing our time, money to find and build a local team.
Okay, mixture of internal or external resources. What's your experience?
See, I think if you do not have right talent in your team, when you are about to start your digital transformation journey, I think it is better to partner with external agents than you developing your team from the scratch. Or what you could probably do, I mean, I think you were saying at the same time, there are several digital transformation initiatives will be on the rack. If you do not have right talent, if you really want to build up your talent, pick up a small size digital transformation and adapt it for you, and assign the large size digital transformation to external agents. While dealing with them on the large size digital transformation, you will learn a lot, and then parallelly you can start grooming your own talent. I think it will take time. It will take time. If you are zero, I think it is better to collaborate with others. I think Business 4.0 is all about that. Leverage your partners. Do not rely only on yourself to bring the change. I think that has taught us a lot of such lessons. You have to give them the pipe.
Just to add to that, I'm in the same opinion. Of course, we are all coming from the services sector. So, but any given moment when a company is set up, they set up because they believe that they understand their business. So maybe a manufacturing company or a hospitality company or whatsoever. So thinking about digital transformation, bringing in technology, bringing in new, totally strange and new things into the company would defocus them from what the business really is, what the core business that they are dealing with. So I would strongly advise to look for a partner. They would have maybe 10, 15 years of experience in such kind of digital transformation projects. So don't invest too much in reinventing the wheel or creating that capacity. But if you may be a digital native or a startup or something, then you cannot afford not to understand technology. So obviously, it is given that you will have someone in your small organization who will be in charge and totally skilled with the technology. So in that size, in that scale, maybe internally handling these kind of demands would be proper. But in big scales, when successful companies who have created deep knowledge on their own business and their own domain, I would not advise to create that capability within the company. I would rather partner with someone in the market.
May I add something to that? I come from a totally different industry. I'm from CBI, so we work with real estate, but we usually come across clients that hire us to bring in new perspectives. And I think that's really important as well in any sort of transformation, that you get like an outside view on what you have, because usually when you're in such a situation that you actually need some kind of either digital or realistic, whatever transformation, is because you're anchored within the status quo and you're locked into a situation that you want to get out of. So one way of challenging that is hiring someone to like have another perspective on it. Sometimes it's also more cost effective because you don't have to like hire and train a lot of people.
Yeah.
I totally agree. So unless you are Spotify, which is a company who has already an organizational model named of it, like Spotify model, and any other digital native company which has born in this new digital era, then you probably are better on your way if you combine internal and external know-how and expertise. And as you mentioned, strategy, business, and technology must be combined in one team. I would add change capabilities to that. So let's make it 4.
Yeah.
And probably you will know your business well. Probably you will know your strategy, but if not, you can hire a big strategy consultant to give you some hints or directions for a lot of money. Maybe you have known it already, but you need some strengthening for your opinion. And for sure, you need technology or whatever insights from outside, because you are thinking in your world and maybe there are new trends, new technologies that you don't know. And surely you need some change experts that help you through, because most of the companies are not capable to change themselves from the inside. Because there are silos, there are different interests within the company, and it's always good to have some kind of catalyst or something like that who speeds up the change.
See, I think I would like to take one case study just to break the business jargons. During the COVID, I mean, of course, everybody was isolated. They were all sitting within their own home. We had a customer who is good at reporting market information. They are the one who report something called a TRP ratings for the programs that are watched by their panel members. These panel members had set-top box in their home. And these set-top boxes will track who's watching, what is being watched. And accordingly, the Chartbuster chart will say the topmost album is this, and topmost program is this, topmost channel is this at this point of time, all that. They had a big challenge when these set-top boxes had some repairing need. I mean, everybody was scared to allow any field agency to step in, but the set-top box has to work, because without this data, the so-called Blackbusters charts cannot be true, because each panel members are selected based on a sampling methodology. We started losing people in the sampling one by one. I mean, we said Corona will go in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It didn't happen. By the time 6th month or 7th month we stepped in, the sampling drastically started dropping, and we had to find a way to repair those set-top boxes. That is when a brain child had suggested something called augmented reality. Well, we did not have that capability at that point of time. Though we were running a lot of digital transformation projects for our customer, we did not have that capability. So we decided we will leverage the niche skill partners. We collaborated with them, brought in a augmented reality without even allowing a field agency to step into the home. We were able to suggest the panel members through augmented reality solution to go to left, right. There's a button at the top corner. I mean, of course, set-top boxes are not one single device. Like a variety of mobiles, there are variety of set-top boxes. You need to have which button will be appearing where, what needs to be pressed if there is a error code of 404, all that. So we have to leverage our available partners if we don't have the capabilities. What I wanted to share.
I think another term is pretty interesting. We deal a lot with that, which is ecosystems. So I think we need to think in ecosystems, and no company is the best by itself. So everybody is operating large networks of experts and suppliers, whatever. And I think who does this in a effective and good way, that can be really successful. So, okay, let's deep dive into the next topics. The area of automation. What is the focus area of automation? And this chart shows that about half of the respondents said that data management, accounts payable, document management are kind of the hot topics for automation. And you can see the rest of the topics. Of course, we don't know if these are fully automated or what is the depth of automation, but let's say 25%, as the previous slide showed. What's your opinion about these results? Does it match your experience? What do you think?
It is certainly matching to my knowledge. At least top 5 is exactly matching with what we do it on the ground. Beyond that, maybe a slight ordering based on which customer you deal with, etc.
Yeah. Obviously, coming from the cloud technology sector, I think our services are more like hidden. It's not so visible, like infrastructure scaling, which is a totally automated process nowadays in cloud space. But it never comes out in a survey like this because
it must not be automated. It's already done.
Exactly. So when you put the survey in front of CXOs and the managers, they will not even remember that their infrastructure in the cloud is being escalated or downgraded or modified, maybe with each of the campaigns that they launch or whatever. So I think parallelly to these items, which I also agree with the order, I would also mention the automation or digital transformation in infrastructure, data platform, or artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, and such kind of things.
If I just to your point is that, and none of us know whether this simply was representative or not, but practically, if you look at service centers, they tend to start with data, HR, accounts payable, finance. No wonder that they are here. So my point is, I think it's also very determined on what these centers are doing, and that will have a huge impact on what their focus is.
Yes, as far as I know, Trivium, maybe you are here somewhere. Yes, you have a BI Center of Excellence for globally, which is for sure not responsible for accounts payable, but probably data management is one of your issues as well.
Yes. We started to centralize it just right now. So we are silent very much because we are behind our group. So we are centralizing, and then of course we are planning to digitalize a lot. But first we need to standardize a lot. But data management is definitely on our map. It's available and reporting. Yes.
Okay, it's interesting for me. Probably we should reframe or rephrase the title of this slide, because it says that like half of the service centers automated already their master data management processes. I would rephrase it so that they had projects in with the objective to automate this process. Probably the job is not done yet, because if we see that slide, then number 3 is like the biggest barriers is insufficient data quality and problems with data. And that's our experience as well. It's a really big problem. Why do you think it is so? What is your big problem with data?
Any answer is good as the question.
Yes. sorry. You're right.
I mean, I personally, I'm not sure why is that problem, because clearly data became the gold, or whatever we want to call it. We have more of it, we value it even more, so there's more focus on it, and we need new methods. Yeah? We haven't had that volume of data, we haven't had that anger for data. So why would we expect everything to be at our fingertips? when, half of the industry hasn't got expertise on this. So I think it's just a shift from focus, and then, getting back to drivers, there is more internal business or market pressure to do something with data, and we have even more of them. Just we need to find a way.
What is your kind of level of maturity now, if I may ask? Are you fighting for gathering all the data and trying to get a clear view what kind of data I have at all? Or are you already beyond that phase and trying to utilize the data that you have?
It depends on the function. Some are more advanced than others. Supply chain more advanced than, say, HR.
Okay.
As far as pulling and really making sense of it and leveraging it, and not just reporting, actually doing something with that data. That's where I think we get stuck a little bit, at least in my function, which is HR.
Which is a kind of gold mine of data, I suppose. But probably there are also
here and here and here. Yeah.
And I suppose also legal regulations are quite different globally.
We're operating
like
in 65
GDPR law
countries
makes it
with
very hard
incredibly
to
hard.
utilize the data that you have. That you might
in
have.
HR, I think it's typical. I like that sentence, that lack of interest from customers, internal customers. I think in HR we can allow ourselves of people that they don't feel talent system, they don't feel talent application because it's so complicated. In P2P, you must do invoicing. So if it goes via system, then you must do that. In HR, I think, I don't know if you agree, but I think there is more space for people. They have less time for that. So, for example, our internal customers don't fill up their talent, I don't know, development plans and so on. What happens there? Probably nothing. It depends on the management and of course as HR, but there is more space for not providing data, not using the system. And when we talked about change process, I think maybe because I'm HR, I don't know, but that's the longest change time probably in HR, longer because what I said that in P2P or in finance and accounting stuff we must do. If we have a system.
It's not there's not a monthly deadline or closing date, but actually it's not that visible if something wrong happens, but it can happen if you don't.
And we also talked about the human aspect. For example, in many companies, probably in our companies, multinational companies, we have talent or application systems. Yeah, and it's lacking the human aspect totally, and it's so difficult to feel your profile. This is the feedback what we also get. So yeah, probably that we could change something, but we need data there, of course. So interesting.
That's a typical case where not automation is the right answer probably, but simplification or user experience maybe, and trying to do something at that point. Okay, let's see what are the kind of favorite tools for digital transformation in general. It's not process automation, robotic process automation only. I have seen here analytics, machine learning, chatbots, data science, a lot of stuff related to AI and data and utilization of data. You have mentioned that you see a bright future in the 5 years. Another 20% will be automated. What is your feeling about those technologies, which will be in the leading position in the next years?
It'll be a combination of 6, 2, and 3. Picture recognition is where we are currently struggling. We were not able to crack the code completely. If we are able to do it along with machine learning and AI capability, I think we will be able to automate 20% more from our current baseline. Today, the OCRs are not really great, or rather they are very expensive. We are unable to get such a rich licenses. So my opinion, down the line, everybody will have the technology and OCR cost will come down, and we will have better accuracy in the OCR technology. Combining that with the AI and ML, more transformations are in the pipeline.
Okay, that's stuff which is coming in a recognizable way. Where do you see in other areas applications of AI, maybe in customer service or whatever?
Chatbots, I think they have become very common now. However, the first question our users of the chatbots ask is, are you a human?
And of course, you can program the chatbot.
So which means, though fancy term says we have deployed a chatbot, not much interest is shown by the users. I think we'll have to fine tune those chatbots even more intelligent, so that the users don't recognize it as a real machine. So long way to go.
I think it's a journey, because I think we always use chatbots. This summer an incident might put because there's a certain point where you come one. Actually, that year when this point was so I but not sure. Because I'll get good. I recognize that, and it comes later actually. It's just a different.
Recognize when they ask you again all the for the
answers not that fast. Experience about these technologies.
Well, I think we have to create two groups. I think robotic process automation is becoming a commodity. Of course, the volume of processes to be automated is with the shared service centers, so that will just go on as normal. But in my opinion, the real boom will be with the artificial intelligence, with the machine learning methods, deep learning, for example, because it's more and more gaining relevance and importance with the companies to predict how their customers will behave. So we are sitting in front of a web page. What will be your next click? What will be your choice? These recommendation engines, no-show prediction, meal prediction for air companies or airways. So propensity would be, I think, the biggest driver for companies to try to define how the customer will behave, and that is where the boom will happen, in my opinion. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning models will be the booming area.
Regarding customer interaction, it's completely understandable. We experience it every day. Károly, what is with your technology stuff? Can you use all those fancy stuff when you design a global architecture or network for your company?
Maybe before I answer, I was just thinking, if I may, if you remember, we had a slide about focus area, cost reduction. Well, we don't need to go back.
Okay.
It's where you can almost actually pinpoint which one is mapping to which. Yeah. So we think robotic process automation is most cost related. Analytics, data science mostly is around quality rather than purely cost, etc. So there is in my opinion, a linkage to it. So getting to your question on we do so in my space, which is data networking, which changes a lot, and there's a lot of common even on our internet network with cloud technology, etc. if I would pick on I have to pick on these, which one we use, is anything that is data science, machine learning, analytics, is certainly a key focus, and technologies that we actually use.
Okay, let's head forward, and here comes the bad part, or not that bright part. There are a lot of barriers, of course, for digital transformation. We see many companies struggle with that, and for like 10 or 20 years ago, we always brought the slides to our customers that about 50% of the large IT projects are failing. They are exceeding their cost budget. They are much longer than planned, and so on. And I think this kind of in this digital transformation era, we experience quite similar stuff. And here are the barriers that you gave us as feedback, this community, that there's always kind of lack of financial or time resources or other resources to do things right. And there are also lack of internal resources, and so on and so on. What do you think? Why is that so? How could companies overcome that barriers?
If you approach
With
any,
the help of
if you approach any function, the first thing they would tell you, if you are a technology guy trying to simplify their work, the first thing that you will hear is it's very, very complex, right? So I think organization change management is very important. First, we should enable a culture of ready to change. That is very, very important. Unless you bring in that culture, the openness to even attempt to automate will be very tough. On top of it, enforcing a template, I think you all would have experienced, is very, very difficult thing to happen. So unless you make all those unstructured, unorganized data into a organized format, you cannot do an automation. So enforcing that, also a big challenge in my opinion. These are the two factors that I see bringing automation into any function is a big challenge.
I think the biggest challenge would be, other than these items, is when there are not when in those positions where decision makers have to have a vision of digital transformation journey, and those people cannot oversee or cannot see the whole process of we are starting from here, and the vision is to be there maybe not next month, but within 2 years, 5 years. And if the organization lacks a person who can have this visionary thinking and not merge himself into the operations too much, but remain on the strategic level and having this vision approach with the digital transformation journey, that would help the companies to evolve. And when there is a lack of people or capable people with this vision, then all these digital transformation and all these initiatives tend to die sooner or later. They will do maybe 1 project, 2 projects, but then it's okay, that's enough, let's just use what we have now. But the main objective is not to stop here, but to do the next step and the next step and the next step. It's the same thing in digital transformation journey, is the same thing in the cloud transformation journey. So if there is no one if there is no one behind the wheel, the vehicle will go left to right, back and forth, and the company will not be focused on their vision. So that's my opinion.
Okay, I think that in any kind of transformation or any kind of successful company must have a vision, must have a strategy, and must have some kind of top level CXO dedication behind it. If that lacks, then this will also surely fail. Okay. This is the same slide continued. So lack of interest from HQ. This is one of the barriers. So no one cares what happens. This is really not a lucky situation. Okay, and actually those were the results, and here are the colleagues who put together this whole survey, and I think that these were really interesting results, but there are still some questions or topics remaining related to this whole digital transformation topic. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. My first topic here is this whole COVID situation. You mentioned this set-top box example that COVID helped you actually to introduce a new digital solution for something that you did physically before. How did this whole pandemic affected digital transformation? Speed it up or slowed it down, or in many different ways?
I have seen two views before I pass it on to partners. Certainly before the start of COVID, the cloud adoption was pretty less. And ever since we started restricting ourselves at home, the movement to cloud has started skyrocketing. I think demand for cloud space have gone up significantly. And companies such as us, who are very large enterprise, have adapted collaboration tools pretty easily. If not COVID, I'm sure we would not have invested such a large amount of money. So same is the case that we have seen it in our customers as well. So cloud adoption, it went like a bullet. There are other digital transformation had taken a little backseated in my opinion. But I have seen customers started investing, customers' readiness to invest in large scale have started coming up. We have seen a lot of investment in the last 2 years because of the COVID, I hope.
Right, the cloud business. So first-hand experience.
My short answer would be yes, it's accelerated. There are certain areas, industries which went almost fully digital, and there is no return just because the COVID is over. So one of those industries would be maybe part of it as the education. So when COVID came, all shifted to digital. But other areas like health, like telemedicine, also became a very popular channel for in the health business, and that is also which will remain in the industry. So I strongly believe that COVID has accelerated the digital transformation. It was a must for everyone. A lot of companies will not have survived if digital transformation would not have been there. So I think that's the direction that the companies has to go.
I would fully agree. At the beginning you asked definition, and I mentioned that to me transformation is an answer to the changed business or market demand, and clearly COVID was a huge, created a big change very fast. So certainly, I think it's accelerated. The question is will that pace continue? That is a big question because we have no choice.
Yes, you had no choice, but since COVID, there are also some interesting things happened in the world, like falling apart of all the supply chains due to COVID, and now due to the crisis in Europe, in the war in Ukraine. And that really changes again a lot. Do you see already some effects of this new crisis on digital transformation programs?
See, if there is one domain which has underwent a complete transformation and progressing pretty well is supply chain management. So during COVID, we had seen the consumer goods flying off the shelf pretty faster, and these supermarkets, asking their suppliers to supply as quickly as possible. They had no idea where their containers were. So all those had triggered an excellent transformation in this space. The ML and AI technologies were leveraged pretty quickly as if anytime technology is a savior for us. And even now, they made excellent changes to their routing logistics and had brought in a lot of innovation into the space. So COVID combined with these digital transformation transformed supply chain management pretty good. I'm guessing, despite these war situations, these supply chain algorithms that they have strengthened will help them to change their channel depending on the dynamic situation, is what I believe will happen sometime.
Okay, so supply chains became more, breakable, or they can fall apart, but with the help of digital tools, you can rebuild them faster.
Exactly.
I mean, in supply chain, so my understanding of this is in supply chain, it will take, the prediction is it will take about another 12 to 24 months to recover. So this is a very complicated problem. I would agree. Yes, part of it is logistics, etc. But it is way more complex, and it's clearly it was a fragile state of stability before COVID. Yeah. So yeah, but that's I think it remains to be seen when we fully recover.
If anybody in this room are in the SCM domain, you can be sure your job is the most sought after job in the market.
I think other than the supply chains, one very relevant topic is the efficiency. So every company has its own operational budget to fit in. And then energy prices are so high, not only because of the heating, but most of the industries, they actually transform some kind of energy into their product. So when those prices are just losingly going up, it is more and more relevant to be efficient in your operation. And automation, digital transformation, most of, first of all, they aim and target cost efficiency. And with that, it will be maybe fitting into your operational budget, trying to tackle the high energy prices, or maybe the inefficiency in your supply chain.
Maybe it's a question that is interesting for a lot of you. I have heard in a past conference that one of the main arguments for moving to the cloud is that I don't have to bother with on-premises infrastructure because delivery times for IT equipment is like above a year and I don't have the experts. Plus, the energy prices for my own data center are so high that I don't want to afford it in the future. What's your experience? This whole energy crisis, how does it affect cloud service costs? What is the percentage that we might expect to cost to go up? Or is not that relevant because they are, global and based on renewable energies? So can we expect that advantage to grow for the cloud in this situation?
Prices will go up with the energy hike. So all the providers are sending out communication to their consumers on the increase of the prices. We have also received from Google that they will be raising the fees, But the good thing, I'm not paid for any propaganda or something, but Google, they postponed the increase of the price for, I think it was for maybe March next year or something like this. So they are not, it's due to be raised, but they will not be raising till some dates next year. So they are giving you
They just freeze the cost like they freeze the gasoline cost and so on. Quite clever. And any ideas about the ratio, percentages? Yes.
I can check and let you know.
Okay, because we know in Hungary, electricity prices like doubled or so, and this can cost millions of course.
Yeah. I was even surprised to hear why companies such a large platform who's running their data centers not necessarily in Europe has to raise it.
You're surprised.
Yeah, because I mean, yes, Europe is going through an energy crisis, but US is not. I mean,
that's why I was asking, because most of the big cloud companies are like global, they have data centers all over the world. So I was also interested what will happen, but it's I think it's a chance also to raise prices in Europe, because everybody knows that prices are going up. So
in fact, while we were very happy, companies are adopting a quicker cloud migration, etc. There is, I mean, because I am a part of a business strategy, we have to worry about the monopoly in this market. So if we are all moving to public cloud and we are dependent so much on public cloud, overnight, they can change the prices, right? So something that we'll have to be careful about as well. Good that at least it is in Microsoft and Google playing in this market. I think we should, I mean, the governments have to cooperate and enable more players to come in the market, so that the price cannot be, made decided by one or two players.
Yeah, actually, it's always the case with monopolies. We see all the Fortune 500 companies who are running on SAP, and if SAP wants to raise the prices, then the prices go up. So it's also a kind of similar situation. It's kind of a vendor lock-in that you sometimes can avoid, sometimes you cannot avoid. Actually, regarding the cloud providers, you have now a pretty simple choice. You have like 3 or 4 where you can choose from. And the question that you raised, I also think very important. And most of the big companies are not just going to the cloud, but they are using multi-cloud infrastructure, like multipliers because of security or scalability or response time reasons, but also for this kind of business case backup, that if my prices are getting uncontrolled or too high, then I have the chance to shift to somebody else. But actually, the situation is not that fortunate, because we only have American cloud providers. So if you think about this whole geopolitical instability in the world, that might also be changed in the future. We have, of course, some Chinese big, like Alibaba cloud, but that is also not that a big selection of, of providers. It's a very, very concentrated market. You have to be very carefully what you do. And cost control is also very important. But I would like to mention, as a controlling company, that I think based on some kind of initial business cases, there are a lot of decisions done or made to move to the cloud. Our experience is that cloud spending can get easy out of control, and it's very hard to manage sometimes to really know who uses what from the cloud, how expensive are the different services, and with the change of prices, what will happen. So if you go for cloud services, I would also recommend to enable some kind of hybrid or multi-cloud strategy and develop a kind of controlling of the cloud spending as well. So that's important, I think. And you can then select the best providers. No problem. Okay, we are slowly running out of time, and I would really offer now the possibility to ask you any kind of questions to this whole session to our colleagues. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I was listening and this was very useful to me because I come from a different field. I come from IT consultancy and we do system integration. You mentioned a lot about ERP, CRM, AI, you mentioned integration, digitalization, the company's policy. So we are a regional company in more than 10 countries today. So this was really useful for me to understand what are the main challenges of this sector. And I was smiling many times because we can tick many boxes, which you mentioned that you have issues with qualified people. We can offer, we do project-based offerings. And one thing that really stayed with me that you mentioned about meals, and AI. So we already implemented for a famous, or you know that in a famous Japanese restaurant, the AI-based system that AI recognizes what's running on this
Belt.
on the belt, and then the way what to put on the belt. So AI is here. We have implemented this in Hungary, and I was very pleased to understand that 2/3 of the BS, the companies, business centers, want to do digitalization also locally, to understand what are the challenges here, and to do this with local people. So this was really useful to me to understand and to know where potentially we can help.
Good.
I think that we are talking about relationship is the impact that we are working on assuming that this company may have been shared services centers in different locations. So what are the pros and the cons to mirror this kind of digital transformation drive organization? As you can see that 2/3 of the Hungarian ones are likely in a situation of like driving these kind of things. Are these like global initiatives which are like starting to be built in Hungary, or is it more the trend to mirror and if you have a Malaysia or I don't know, South America or some different centers that these initiatives exist to meet this requirement to be close to the operations, so to see and to hear what people are doing there.
Actually, from this, I don't really know the answer, but probably is that there might be a next survey, maybe, where we could, or discussion panel, where we could discuss where are such kind of global center of excellences, like CAR is heading, or Trillium is trying to do in reporting stuff, where Hungary is really the global hub for such know-how and expertise. In some cases, probably that is the case because Hungarian, people are very skilled, and especially in programming, mathematics, engineering, we have really valuable resources. Maybe in some cases, this digital organization locally is just kind of the change agent of global initiative. Maybe that's my idea about it.
No, I mean, there is a lot to it, and when you cover where is global, so that becomes that, which is very good, in my opinion at least. The second question is in my experiences, large programs tend to come from global initiatives. Sustainable change comes locally, because of the cultural aspect.
See, handling multiple shared services centers, you need to do an evaluation first. Say, for example, if you are developing a bot that you are deploying it in Hungary, you have another shared services in Mexico. Can this bot be working in Mexico? If not, then development of bot is not your priority, should not be your priority. Rather, standardizing these two shared services centers to work in the same SOP should be your first priority. So get that done first before even invest time and energy on developing a bot for your automation.
The survey shows that 2/3 of the Hungarian the companies in Hungary have their own local organization responsible for digital transformation. That already shows the importance, the relevance of such services. But I think on the other hand, there is some heritage also in this, because if you remember, maybe 10 years ago, global companies like I don't know, maybe Oracle or even TCS or so they started this transformation program globally, one part organization to test, to roll out first, to see how it goes. And Hungary is relatively small. If they screw up something, will be only a small deviation from the normal. So all these global companies use Hungary as a laboratory or a testing field or a sandbox to roll out new features, to implement new systems, to integrate new functionalities. And all that work teams in the company, this culture doesn't die within the company. They, for obvious efficiency reasons, they implemented or they built up the digital transformation organization in Hungary, because we had, all these companies had the experience, had the skilled people, and so on. So I think there is also a parallel this aspect of, you have to do something with those people who served as a sandbox for your rollouts.
Any other questions? Let me have one last closing round question. If you would advise a CEO of a shared service center in Hungary now to start or drive on its ongoing digital transformation project, and what would be the 3 things that you would recommend him?
I think it depends on the function, and I think I would request him to consult it with the business, domain consultants. The value chain and identify the bot. You need to understand your bottlenecks and problems first. So I would ask him to be a very structured approach in initiating these transitions.
Robotic process automation or intelligent process automation as much as we can because of efficiency aspects, and also the cloud transformation, and investing a lot in training your people and making sure that they are capable of continuous change. And when we talk about the IPA, the intelligent process automation, and also the cloud transformation, I would strongly advise to always think about programs, to think about journeys, not only move to cloud just because to move to the cloud, you have to understand that moving to the cloud will enable this more. So this kind of visionary thinking has to be behind all these digital transformation initiatives.
For culture, as we mentioned, so my advice would be not to focus on the project, focus on culture. and especially two aspects of it. One is continuous change and continuous improvement, that you can culture sustain that and continuous learning. So,
Okay, thank you very much. Very nice closing ideas, I think. And I really thank you for this valuable conversation. If you have any questions, I would suggest that we just stand up, grab some cookies and drink, and we can continue discussing. Okay, so thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you. It was very, very nice to meet you and talk to you. Köszönöm szépen.
10%-ot volt egyébként, csak azt mondják, hogy az első.
Egyébként, amit akkor